The movie begins with a woman named Mallory Hayes telling two children, known only as boy and girl, that they are going on a dangerous trip across the water, and that it is imperative they keep their blindfolds on during the trip. The kids follow Mallory's string trail to the boat, then jump in and take a ride on the river after she pulls a box with her pet birds inside out of the house. 5 years earlier. Mallory is an artist who is pregnant. During a visit from her sister Jessica, she watches a news report about unexplained mass suicides in Siberia that have spread across Europe. Jess notices Mallory's painting, which she says symbolizes a lack of connection. She tells Mallory that this won't be the case with the baby. She then offers to accompany Mallory to the doctor. While visiting Dr. Lapham, Mallory makes jokes about drinking while pregnant with Jess. The comments do not strike Lapham as funny, and he offers Mallory an option to have a person adopt the baby if Mallory does not feel ready to raise it. While they were leaving the office, they noticed a woman whose head was banging against the glass window. Clearly, whatever afflicted Europe and Siberia appears now to be affecting America. They rush outside just as cars are crashing in the street, causing chaos. Initially, Jess drives Mallory away, but soon after, her eyes turn an unnatural color as she appears to be frightened by something that only she can see. Jess drives frantically while Mallory keeps her on the road. Mallory is able to keep her on the road until she flips the car and crashes. Although they survive, Jess is still trance-like, and Mallory can only watch as she steps up in front of a truck. Mallory runs alongside everyone else. After being knocked over, she falls in front of a house. A woman named Lydia leaves her house to help Mallory, despite the opposition of her husband Douglas. Before Lydia can assist Mallory, she appears to enter a trance and talk to her mother. Lydia walks into a burning car that soon explodes. A man named Tom helps Mallory up and leads her into the house. A policewoman named Lucy follows them. There is also a couple named Jason and Samantha in the house, as well as Greg the homeowner, Charlie, Felix, and Cheryl. The couple flee the house when they hear their son over the phone sounding like he's in danger. All the people around them talk about what they have observed in the afflicted ones. In Charlie's opinion, the entity is caused by demons who inhabit the form of one's greatest sadness or loss. All of them realize that it is invisible, and attempting to see it will result in suicide. Mallory steps away from the group while Tom comforts her as she explains what happened to Jess. The group then boards up the door and places newspapers in front of the windows so people cannot see outside. In the present day, after 6 hours on the river, Mallory and the children continue to drift down the river, since it's pitch black now. While trying to contact people over the radio, Mallory begins to hear the entity whispering her name. Back in the past, Olympia, one of the survivors, pleaded to be allowed into the house. Douglas tries to prevent this, but Mallory grabs a rifle just in case. Olympia enters the house cautiously, and they find out she's pregnant, too. Greg offers to examine the transmitters in the house to see what's outside. Initially, it looks like he is waiting to see something on the monitors of the computers, but then it appears he has seen something on them. After that, the others heard a thumping in the room. When they rush upstairs, they see Greg tip over and smash his head against an edge, thereby killing him. They then destroy the computer monitor. The following evening, Olympia talks about the baby names with Mallory, but Mallory prefers to be left alone. As she walks around the house, she thinks she hears thumping sounds, but it's just Lucy and Felix hooking up. 14 hours on the river. Mallory hears a man's voice call out, telling the kids that it is safe to let go of their blindfolds. Though the man says it is safe, Mallory orders the kids against it. According to him, he is food, has seen the entity, and that there is no need to be scared. Taking out her gun and firing blindly, Mallory fires a few bullets before a man attacks her and tries to remove her blindfold. Mallory fights and kills the man by cutting at him with a machete. Back in the past, the group has begun to run out of food, and they know help isn't coming. Mallory, Tom, Douglas, Lucy, and Charlie go to the supermarket where Charlie worked before he shut it down as things went awry. Paint is applied to the windows and GPS is used to guide them. On the road, they feel as though they are driving over bodies and try to ignore it. A proximity alert is then sent, indicating the entity is surrounding them. Tom manages to get them out of harm's way. When they reach the market, they grab as much food as they can. Seeing some birds, Mallory decides to take them home as pets. Their ears suddenly pick up the whine of Charlie's co-worker Fish Fingers, who is locked in a freezer and begging to be let out. Then he talks about how the entity is beautiful and must be seen. Lucy, Tom, and Douglas attempt to hold back Fish Fingers as he breaks out. Seeing the entity, Charlie realizes his fate. After charging Fish Fingers and putting them both into the freezer where Charlie dies, he lets the others go home. Mallory briefly bonds with Douglas over their personal issues that night. They then hear what sounds like the car being driven away. They go into the garage and discover it's gone, as well as Lucy and Felix. 24 hours on the river. Mallory takes a break from rowing. She tips the boat into a sunken truck, and Boy falls out. She pulls him out and attempts to warm him up, although the food and blankets have fallen into the river. The children are left in the boat while she goes into the woods, hoping to find food. As Mallory enters a building, she hears noises and sees things move as if they are being pulled by an entity. Despite making her way outside, she still hears the voice of the entity. In response to Mallory's gunshot, Girl leaves the boat to help Mallory, but Mallory finds Girl and scolds her for leaving the boat as they return to it. In the past, Tom tells Mallory about his time stationed in Iraq, and how his comrades followed a man as he escorted his kids to school in the middle of all the chaos. Additionally, they start developing feelings for one another. Olympia lets Gary into the house, a man who is desperately in need. Gary is aggressively searched and interrogated by the others. In his story, he explains that escaped mental patients attacked him and his friends, forcing them to look at the creatures. Gary's friend clashed with one of them, which allowed him to escape and get to his house. He says there are also people outside not wearing blindfolds who are willing to observe the creatures and want other people to do the same. Doug wouldn't trust Gary, so he tried to force him out at gunpoint, but Cheryl knocked him off and let Gary stay, so they locked Douglas in their garage. Olympia tears up after letting Gary in and says she feels like a burden, but Mallory assures her she isn't. Olympia then asks Mallory to look after her baby if anything happens to her. Mallory agrees. She then gives Olympia a Hello Kitty toy for the baby. 38 hours on the river. As we return to the present, Girl is seen holding the Hello Kitty toy, indicating that she is Olympia's daughter. As they approach the rapids, Mallory keeps the kids and herself under a blanket to warn them that this will be the most dangerous part of their journey. Mallory tells them to have their eyes open so we can navigate, and both kids jump at the chance, but Mallory decides they aren't worth sacrificing either. So she says nobody will look, and she will just use blindfolds over the rapids. Past. Mallory and Olympia both begin to go into labor. During Tom and Cheryl's help, Gary pulls out a package of pictures of the creatures, as he's one of the crazy people who has seen them and wants them to be seen. He puts Mallory's birds in the fridge, since they appear to perceive danger, and tears the papers off the window, which Douglas observes. Gary tries to get rid of Douglas by opening the garage door. During this time, Olympia gives birth to a girl and Mallory to a boy. After entering the room, Gary pulls the blinds up in front of Olympia. She hands Mallory her baby right before she jumps out the window. Gary then forced Cheryl to look out into the outside world, which lead her to commit suicide with scissors. When Douglas brings the rifle in, he is unable to shoot with his eyes closed because he is terrified of hitting Mallory and the babies. Despite shooting Gary in the arm, he stabs Douglas with the scissors and kills him. As Tom and Gary see the rifle, they both try to grab it. We hear 2 shots, but Tom is alive and going to be with Mallory and the babies. It is now 5 years later, just before the start of the film. Despite Mallory and Tom living together and raising the kids, Tom calls her out for not connecting with them or even naming them. A car is heard outside, and it's some people driving their car out without covering the windows or us. Blindfolds. A warning system is set up outside by Mallory as a precaution for her kids. During the night, the two receive a radio transmission from a man named Rick who says he is in a safe compound with plenty of food and supplies. Instructing them on how to get to the compound down the river, he tells them how dangerous it is to take children down there and how they will need to see if they are to make it there in one piece. According to Rick, they should follow the sound of birds to find the place. Tom wants to go to the compound, but Mallory is concerned that it might be a trap. On the outside of the house, the survivors from earlier emerge. The kids and Mallory get out of harm's way while Tom confronts them. Whistling Marauder, leading the survivors, orders Tom to remove his blindfold. After seeing Mallory and the kids, Tom fires and kills 3 marauders before he also takes a shot. After taking off his blindfold, Tom kills 2 more before going after the leader who is stalking Mallory and the kids. Despite being afflicted by the entity, Tom fights it long enough to kill the leader before turning the gun on himself, alerting Mallory that Tom is dead. Mallory then gathers the children together to take a trip down the river. 42 hours on the river have now passed, and the rapids are getting closer and closer. After Mallory tries to get through the rough waters, the boat flips over, and everyone is thrown overboard. Boy is in the water when Mallory calls out to them, and Girl is on land, and Mallory finds her because Girl keeps ringing a bell. In the woods, the entity whispers to the kids and uses all of its power to try to trick them into seeing, but Mallory's strength overcomes the entity's power, and she gets them to ignore its whisperings. In order to get inside, she follows the bird noises as they get closer to the compound, but the entity surrounds them as she tries to enter until someone opens the door and lets her in. Mallory and the kids are cleared to enter after their eyes are checked. Mallory discovers that the compound is a school for blind children. It is a haven for those in there who are protected from the entities. Dr. Lapham is then found by Mallory and the kids, who are happily greeted by her. After asking the kids their names, Mallory finally names them, Olympia after her mother, and Tom after Tom. Mallory proudly says they are her children and she is their mother. Having opened her bird box, Mallory lets the birds go free to be with their fellow birds.